Separate the art from the artist, you know? R. Kelly always prided himself as kind of a ladies' man, and then it comes out that he's actually the opposite of that. He's actually a coercive pedophile. Yeah, you still listen to Kanye West, Black Klansman Kanye West. You have to let things go when they have reached their limit of usefulness. Radiohead, I mean, his old songs still bop. But do you bop to them the same like you did before? Or are you just reaching back nostalgically, hoping, just trying to take yourself back to a place and time that doesn't exist anymore? That's why it's so hard to let these people go. That's why it's so hard to never listen to Radiohead again. I've stopped listening to my favorite band recently, so I've been hungry for like suggestions and stuff, and like when you are lasered in to one band for so long, I feel totally fractured in terms of trying to put on something that matches a vibe that I can think of like right off the top of my head. Because Radiohead are fucking Zionists, that's why. It took me way too long to realize. You can go back on my YouTube channel and see me watching a documentary on Tantura, one of the original villages that's at the beginning of the Nakba, when the first Zionists, like the Alexandroni Brigade, were coming in and displacing Palestinian people. That documentary, Tantura, is incredible on the Nakba and the origin of Zionism. Did you know that Zionism predates Nazism? I learned that recently. The Zionist project was planning on weaponizing the legacy of the Holocaust as it was being committed. Like, it is such a myth, the idea of a ideal Israeli state, because it's built on stolen land. All of Palestine, all of Israel is historic Palestine. And it's like, have you seen Tom York's statement on that? He and Johnny Greenwood is married to Sharona Katan, who is a hardcore Zionist, and they met on the OK Computer world tour, their first world tour, or was it their second, because they already did Pablo Honey and Creep as a world tour. It was in 1997, so it had to be OK Computer. They played in Tel Aviv in 2017 and in other times as well. Yeah, I don't like Israel. I don't think what Hamas did was the right thing either, but what Israel is doing is just fucked up. What do you disagree with? I'm just curious. Radiohead just keeps collaborating with Israeli artists. Tom York melted down on stage, crashed out at a fan. They're all just a bunch of fucking rich, whiny losers. I hate them. Well, you know that Palestine isn't, like, Gaza or the West Bank is not allowed to have a standing army because they're under apartheid. Their food, water, electricity, everything is controlled from the outside by Israel. Yemen and Qatar seem to be the only two Arab countries that are standing in solidarity with the Palestinians, truly, materially. They have protected Gaza. The only reason why Gaza is being bombed instead of completely invaded and taken over by the IDF is because it keeps them in a deadlock around Khan Yunis and Rafah. And the equipment that they are using is state-of-the-art, but also homemade. To point the finger critically at is missing the point. Larger issue has been going on since 1967 with the Nakba, and it's been normalized by the United States and by Israel's propaganda. I mean, civilians are still civilians. I'm from Estonia, by the way. Right on. I mean, it is absolutely child cruelty to have your child in an Israeli settlement because you are essentially using them as a human shield. You're right. Civilians are still civilians. If there's a hospital, you don't blow up the whole hospital. If there's like actually follows the rules of war. If Hamas was not following the rules of war, it is a characteristic that has slowly been squeezed out of the culture of Hamas. They have applied to have their terrorist designation revoked through all the legal channels. Qatar and Yemen are leading the world by example when it comes to Israel. Being from Estonia, I think you already know that we were through a similar thing in World War I and World War II, the Soviet occupation, etc. You know, I have a high school diploma. I'm not super, I'm not an expert on a lot of things, but I had to educate myself on Israel because I just kept being told that it's such a complicated issue. It's so nuanced, there's so much gray area. Nah, it's pretty black and white. It's actually pretty simple. The Alexandroni brigades, I mean, you want to talk about war being hell? The Alexandroni brigades, specifically, of some of the first Zionists to come in armed and clear Palestinian villages. Some of them came from the death camps. Think about that for a second. Some of the people who were victims of genocidal atrocities turned around and committed them themselves. Listen, I'm glad you're here. I'm not trying to like talk your ear off. 2 years ago, I didn't know shit. 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, I was like listening to Ethan Klein and shit. And you go even further back, I didn't even know Israel and Palestine were like, I was probably getting it mixed up with Pakistan, you know? But then I saw how obviously these people are lying about what happened. Lying about just the Palestinian people and smearing them. You want to know what's really sad? The Alexandroni brigades were actually welcomed at first. They lived alongside the Palestinians. It's possible that Palestine could be a spiritual capital for the world, where a swath of diverse religions and cultures can live peacefully and in harmony. And Zionism took that away. Zionism claimed the Holy Land for themselves, using Judaism as a fig leaf, which fuels anti-Semitism. Turning Gaza into a moonscape is not the answer. And to witness the moonscape that is now Gaza, and then still try to talk about how civilians being killed on October 7th, or just think about the iron wall around the West Bank. Fishermen being shot for fishing in the ocean. 300 journalists have been killed by Israel. we still talking about October 7th? There are probably more people dead under the rubble than have actually been counted. People's homes have become their graves in Gaza. Civilians dying in general are fucked up. Like I said, Israel is doing wrong. They've always been like this. Israel is like Russia in my eyes, to be honest. How so? Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much pure fascism. Oh, this is a fun meme. Project Pat on the GoldenEye pause music. Need to lift my spirits. So, based on what we talked about, do you think you'll still be a Radiohead fan? You still like separate the art from the artist, you know? I think I'm gonna still listen to Radiohead, to be honest. Art should not be ridiculed because the artist has done bad, if that makes sense. I think it does. I think your actions outside of your art can take away from it, especially if you are a person who is a brand, essentially, by advertising yourself and your music. Take Kanye West, for example. His whole thing was that he was an innovative genius, and then he ended up being an insane racist who said stupid shit all the time. R. Kelly always prided himself as kind of a ladies' man, and then it comes out that he's actually the opposite of that. He's actually a coercive pedophile. Yeah, you still listen to Kanye West, Black Klansman Kanye West. You have to let things go when they have reached their limit of usefulness. Radiohead, I mean, his old songs still bop. But do you bop to them the same like you did before? Or are you just reaching back nostalgically, hoping, just trying to take yourself back to a place and time that doesn't exist anymore? It's like that melancholy feeling you get when you hear about a new artist and then you learn about an artist and then also find out that they're dead. I couldn't square it. I couldn't square the idea of Radiohead being so conscious of themselves that they would take all of the branding off of their tents at music festivals because they didn't want any corporate logos. Them making a sensitive song about how I'm a creep and a weirdo and I don't belong here, and reaching out to the disenfranchised and the lonely and the displaced and the mentally ill. Instead, they're serenading a group of people who, the majority of them, and this is polling data internally from Israel, that most of them think that there are no innocents in Gaza. Something like 60% of Israelis think that there are no innocents in Gaza. Yeah, everything that Kanye does now will always be weird because the dude does so much nitrous oxide, it's insane. He's out of his mind. He's too far gone. And Radiohead does not sell to me anymore this idea that they reach out to the marginalized and have thoughtful, provoking love songs that are relatable to all kinds of people. Yeah, Kanye was incredible lost potential. That's why it's so hard to let these people go. That's why it's so hard to never listen to Radiohead again. Because with Radiohead, every album was like a different band put it out. It was so innovative and different. But Johnny Greenwood got fucking honeypotted by the Israeli state, and now none of them can bring themselves to even criticize Israel. What do you think of Ozzy Osbourne? I read up on him after he died. He apparently stood by Sharon when she was being blatantly racist. He just seems ignorant more than anything else. Hulk Hogan was a way bigger racist than Ozzy Osbourne ever was. There's some artists that I've been rediscovering. I got a bunch of their albums on vinyl, by the way. Here's my copy of OK Computer. They were beautiful. They were incredibly talented, ahead of their time. My favorite Radiohead song is Nude, because it is... Yeah, let's throw on Nude. Did you know that the intro is the outro played in reverse? Gotta get the studio version. I mean, the live version is great, but what Radiohead does really well is they command energy really well. They make really big energy swells sometimes and then bring it all back down. Or if it's like Amnesiac or something, the energy is like a low static buzz that stays in it and punctuates every now and then. Like with Sit Down, Stand Up, Scatterbrain, or even like Myxomatosis. But Nude, sometimes I think you gotta let the artist go. If the art brings you joy, then I think you should listen to it. I think that there are other ways to find joy without excusing people of evil. Like, I just cannot bring myself to do it. But listen to this though. Like, Nude, you'll hear the percussive splashes go instead of psh. Well, see, that's different. I feel like a franchise can live on its own. What we were talking about with music and stuff, these are individuals who are the brand. J.K. Rowling she never hailed herself as a smart person. She made her bread and butter making shit up, you know? So, but Radiohead, they claim themselves to be sensitive, reaching out to the people type of thing. Like, standing up against corporate interests and speaking truth to power. But instead, they serenade the Nazis of our time? No. No. After years of people pushing back, of years of them having every opportunity to say something, anything of substance, and instead Tom York comes out with this mealy-mouthed centrist nonsense. But I still think that Nude is the greatest song ever written by a problematic band. This is where the reversed intro, which is actually the outro, just played in reverse, ends, and the song begins right here. I mean, you've heard it, so to listen to the whole thing. But you see how that just rubs me the wrong way now? Don't get any big ideas. They're not gonna happen. Imagine saying that to a Palestinian person's face. You know what I mean? Like, it just rubs me the wrong way. All of it. Yeah, that is... My Iron Lung is peak old school Radiohead, for sure. Is it reversed? Yeah, that's Tom York's Tomorrow's Modern Boxes. And Rainbows, of course. Yeah, it does. That's why it's important to grieve, you know? It's important to recognize the joy that it gave you at the time and then let it go. It's the greatest song ever written. This is the intro. What you're hearing now is the intro. It's a sonic palindrome. It's genius. This song is it's one of the best songs ever written. I mean, but there are other bands